Hi everybody, and welcome to this 7-part video series on how to go from sim racing to real racing. A few years ago I became a licensed racing driver and spent 2 years racing at many of the circuits around the UK. In this video series I'll hopefully share my story and try to offer advice for anybody else that would like to do this themselves. So in the previous videos we've covered everything you need to go racing, how to get a car, how to find a series, etc. In this video, we're actually going to look at one of the races I did, and this time we're at Cadwell Park. So for anybody who doesn't know, Cadwell Park is a circuit in the sort of north of England. It's actually more known as a motorcycle circuit because it's very narrow and nadgery. I've also heard comparisons in the past to the Nürburgring just because of how undulating it is and how close the barriers are. So if you make a mistake, you go straight into the barrier, just like the Nürburgring. So for anybody who doesn't know, they haven't watched the previous videos, go and watch them. But just to let you know, we're basically racing in a team endurance series in an Integra Type R. And basically, I think the races were about 45 minutes, 50 minutes long. And you had to do a mandatory pit stop and a driver change halfway through. In that pit stop, you had to wait a certain amount of time. And then the other driver would go out. This was multi-class racing, so each race had multiple different classes, and you can see on the back of the cars a letter that represents the class they're in. So yeah, when you see the video, we weren't racing all the cars that you see. So the class structure was based on power to weight, although I think if you had certain upgrades on your car, you'd actually go upper class. And as I sort of described in the last video, a lot of the effort of a race weekend was actually before you even got to the track. So this would include getting your car prepped, servicing it, etc., hiring a trailer, picking up the trailer, getting the car on it, getting enough fuel, getting everything ready to go, going to the track. There was a whole load of stuff to do. So because Cadwell Park was quite far away, I actually remember camping overnight there in a tent, glamorous, and basically you could go for a track walk, which was quite useful to actually look around the track with no cars there. As with the other races that we did on the actual day itself, it was the same old situation of going to sign in, registering your car, doing the driver's briefing, and then going into practice. Practice basically didn't have long, turned into qualifying, and then before you knew it, you were on the grid. So on the grid here, I'm not sure exactly what position we've qualified in. I can't really remember, something like 7th or 8th on the grid. But don't forget this is multi-class, so that might actually mean that we're further up the grid than it looks. It never got easier. You still had a lot of nerves when you're sitting on this grid. And once again, a nice sunny day, you get really, really hot just sitting there. Can't have the window open. You're in a real, real thick race suit. So here we go. And we're off. So another great start. And yeah, just looking for a gap, any gap that I can take. We've got around that Elise, we've got this BMW to our side. It's a very narrow track, so not easy to get past, but I'm looking for opportunities as soon as I can. Obviously the tyres will need to warm up a little bit, but that's a good time to pounce on other people. And can I get the Porsche? Thinking about it, but just alongside him. He's got it back at the moment. So you might hear a bit of a thudding sound on the brakes. I do remember our brakes were starting to really wear out, and I don't know whether we'd warped our discs, but they definitely judded when we were braking really hard. Actually having to go down to second gear there because it's so tight. Not ideal for this car. You can really see how it's almost like a motorbike circuit. And he's slightly gone off there. Up ahead. Just being held up right now. So you're going to try to get a good exit out here. This is coming back, but hopefully on the inside line we'll actually have it this time. And we're through. So just like with the last couple of races, first couple of laps you're almost still finding your way around, just trying to find your feet and put a good lap together. So I haven't really figured out exactly what gear to be in everywhere here. Some gears are just a little bit too long, some are a little bit too short for some of the corners. And because we don't really have low down torque, the engine's just got to rev its nuts off all the time. So I do remember always wondering whether I should take this flat. I don't know if I do in the end, but it's certainly tempting each time. Really throwing it through there just so I don't have to back off at all and let it fall off the revs. Same with this, I think each time I went through it I got more and more committed. Just have a clear track ahead, going maximum attack. Probably have been leaving it in fourth, to be honest, through this bit. There's the wiping the sweat out of the eyes again. It's quite a common thing in these race cars. It just gets so hot. You have no aircon, you're in a race suit, and it's boiling in here. Slightly locking it up on the brakes there. So there's a bit of a story about going flat or trying to go flat through that section there. When we first built the race car, we actually came to Cadwell Park to do a track day, and at that point we had 2 seats in the car, and me and my other driver, we took it in turns to take each other out for a lap. And I basically said to him, I think in between one of the sessions, I reckon that first corner is flat out. And he was like, I don't think so. And I was like, yeah, I think you can take it flat. And we basically had a session where I was driving, and each lap I got ever quicker. And yeah, I just thought, right, okay, next lap I'm going to go completely flat through it. Went completely flat, and then the whole car like basically pivoted and four-wheel drifted over the top. And obviously we'd only just built it, and we both had half our money in it, and so yeah, he just looked at me as I was driving around and shook his finger and was basically saying, never do that again. Slightly more flat that time. Didn't lift as much, I noticed. Same with this. You can start to hear that I'm not using the brakes and I'm just slightly lifting. So I'm definitely going ever so slightly faster each lap. Unlike sim racing where you've got a delta and a lap time being shown to you each lap, in this you've got no idea whether one lap's quicker than another, so you kind of have to start a bit slower and then just lap after lap as you gain confidence go faster and faster. As I said in another video, we never actually got to do the test day the day before. A lot of other teams did that, but it costs money and that would mean a day off work and stuff. But yeah, it would have been useful to have that test day because I think you'd be so quick come race day, you'd know exactly how fast you can go. And what I've seen in all these videos is I'm still learning the limits of the car and the track in the race. Whoa, talking of learning limits, slightly overcooked that a little bit. We haven't seen many cars, but there's one finally up ahead. So that was quite reserved of me there. I probably could have dived out the inside. But at the same time you're just a bit worried about having somebody turn in on you. But it has held me up a little bit through these next couple of corners. That guy's right in the middle of the track, unfortunately. Oops, dropped out of gear there. Car's getting more and more leery through that section. Just like here, it's sliding a lot more. Oh, it was almost flat there. Slight twitch. Oh, that guy's gone for a move that didn't exist. Oh, they're almost taking each other out. So that really wasn't ideal. So one of them was going to the pits there. I'll probably be heading in soon myself, to be honest. Bit of understeer there. So I've been given the board. Come in next lap. So into the pits we go. So as with all the other races, we did our driver change, waited the amount of time that has to be waited, and then out my other driver went. And even though it was quite a boring race from a spectator point of view, there is a reason why I included it in here, and that's because the result was we won the class. So we actually got the win, won the winner trophy and champagne and all that sort of stuff. And I took great delight in spraying absolutely everybody. So I love the fact that in the background of this picture, people are just running away because I think I just drenched everybody with it. And was elated with joy the fact we'd won. So I don't know how many of you will have made it this far. The race was pretty boring, but hopefully a few of you did and found it interesting at least. So next week we've got quite an interesting one, which is part 7, looking at the costs and conclusion over it all, and ultimately whether you should go racing. So as always, please like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and hopefully I'll see you at the next one.